Sometimes joining our line work together can make it easier to work on a drawing. AutoCAD's p-edit command will allow us to join entities into a single polyline. Let's try using the p-edit command. I'm going to come up and click my Open icon. And inside the Chapter 9 folder within our Exercise Files directory, I'm going to come all the way to the bottom of the list and we'll select the p-edit drawing, number 10. We'll highlight him and click Open. Now on my screen I've got an abstract example of some stairs. This drawing happens to be an architectural drawing. You know, one other way we can tell that a drawing is architectural, if we look down in the lower left-hand corner inside our status bar, I can see that my coordinates are given in architectural measurements. Let's say I would like to offset these stairs 3 inches. Here's my problem. If I click on the stair segments, I can see that they're all individual entities. That means in order for me to do the offset, I would have to offset each piece one at a time, and then clean up the geometry, which would be very tedious. I'm going to hit Escape to clear the grips. Instead, I would rather join all of these lines together into a single polyline and then offset the polyline one time. Now a polyline is a line with multiple segments, and those segments can be straight lines or arcs. Let's use the p-edit command and join this line work together. To find the p-edit command, I'm going to go up to my Modify pull-down. I'll click Modify, I'm going to come down to Object, and in the flyout, I'm going to select Polyline. At this point, AutoCAD's asking me to select a polyline. That's because this command edits polylines. Well, I'm going to come over and I'm going to click one of my line segments, and AutoCAD's going to say, hey, that's not a polyline. Do you want to turn it into one? Well, yes, I do. So I'm going to hit Enter to accept the default yes. From the menu, I'm going to select Join. I would like to join my lines together. So I'll click Join. And now AutoCAD's asking me to select objects. Which objects would I like to join together? I'm going to make a nice window selection, so I'm going to click right up here off in space. I'll move down to the lower right, and I'll click to finish my window, and then I'll right-click to finish my selection. Now, one of the unfortunate things about the p-edit command is there's really no official way to get out. Notice in the menu I have, there's no exit. If you want to get out, you have to hit the Escape key. Now that the command's over, I'm going to click on one of my lines and notice that this is now considered a polyline. Let's try and use the p-edit command in a practical example. If I pan over to the right, I've got the outline of a 5-panel door that I'm going to be drafting. And through the miracle of time-lapse photography, we'll pan over and you can see where I've created my offsets. Pan over a little bit more, you can see where I've created the offsets for my horizontal lines. And then lastly, I've gotten to the point where I've created my panels. I've used the Trim command to clean up my geometry. In order for these to look like panels, I need to offset these inner rectangles in one time such that we can see the raised area. Here's my problem. Since these rectangles were generated using the Trim command, I can see that these guys are individual pieces. So instead of offsetting each one individually, let's join these guys together and then offset it as one piece. Let me hit Escape to clear the grips, and I'm going to join these using the p-edit command. Let's come up to the Modify pull-down. We'll come down and select Object, and then we'll come over and select Polyline. AutoCAD again is asking us to select Polyline. I will click this guy. Do I wish to turn it into one? Yes, I do. Let me hit Enter. And the option I'm going to use is Join. Let me select Join. AutoCAD's asking me to select objects. I'm going to make a nice window selection around these 4 entities. Let me click to finish my window, and then I'll right-click to finish my selection. Now, before we cancel out of this command, I want you to take a look at the command line. Notice AutoCAD is saying 3 segments added to polyline. That's good. That means that the command worked. You see, we can only join line segments together so long as they touch exactly end to end. If you look down at the command line and it says 0 segments added to polyline, you've got a problem with your geometry. Make sure and check your corners. I'm going to hit the Escape key to clear the command because he worked fine. If I click on this guy now, I can see he's a closed polyline. Let's offset him. I'm going to hit Escape to clear the grips. We'll come over and we'll launch the Offset command by clicking on the icon. Offset distance, I'm going to offset him 2 inches. And I'll hit Enter. We'll then grab our panel, and then I'm going to click on the inside to create my offset. And we'll hit Escape to get out of the command. Now, one of the drawbacks to the pedit command is that it's a one-at-a-time deal. I can take and join lines together. I can create one polyline at a time. I still have 4 panels left to go. Let me show you how we can create multiple polylines. I'm going to hit Escape to clear the grips. We're going to go back up to Modify. We'll come down to Object, and we'll move over and select Polyline. This time, before we grab our polyline, take a look at the command line. There's a sub-option of Multiple. I'm going to right-click and select that sub-option. This will allow me to create multiple polylines. So AutoCAD's asking me to select objects. You know what? I'm going to window all of these guys. I'll click once, and then I'll come down here and click again to finish my window. And then I'll right-click and finish my selection. I can't hurt an existing polyline, so I can really select whatever I want. AutoCAD's saying convert lines and arcs to polylines. This is the same question as, do you want to turn this into a polyline? AutoCAD's just saying, hey, you selected so much stuff. Do you just want to turn it all into polylines? Yes, I do. I'm going to hit Enter to accept yes. Now I can use my Join command again. Let me select Join. And now AutoCAD's asking me to specify a fuzz distance. Since I'm creating multiple polylines, I'm joining multiple lines together, AutoCAD wants to know, okay, well, how far apart do you want your end segments to be before we don't join them? Well, I'm going to leave it at 0. This way it's going to guarantee that my line segments will only join so long as they're touching end to end. So I'm going to leave my fuzz distance at 0. I'm just going to hit Enter. There we go. That command has been done. If I look at the command line, I can see 12 segments were added to 4 polylines. Let me hit Escape to get out of the command. And I can see that each one of these guys is now a joined polyline. All right, let's finish it up. I'm going to come over and launch Offset. AutoCAD remembers the previous distance, so I'll hit Enter and I'll accept 2 inches. And we'll offset this panel to the inside, this panel to the inside. Notice I've got a running object snap. Be careful. I'll click this panel and I'll make sure that I'm clicking inside without getting the object snap. Let me click inside. We'll do the last one. We'll click here and we'll click inside. I'll hit Escape to clear the command. So the next time you have to modify several individual components, see if it's possible to join them together first. If your components meet end to end, it might be faster to turn them into a polyline before making your changes.